This story is set in England. It starts with a family named Mr. White, Mrs. White, and their son Herbert. One evening, Mr. White and Herbert are playing chess, while Mrs. White knits by the fire. They are expecting for visitors. The visitors soon arrive and introduced by Mr. White as Sergeant Morris. Sergeant Morris tells some story of his time in India when under British rule. Mr. White remember about the monkey paw that Morris told him recently. Then Morris showed the monkey paw and say that the paw can grant any 3 wishes, but bring disaster upon the wisher. So Morris tossed the monkey paw to the fire, but Mr. White retrieved it. After Morris left, Mrs. White want to test the paw. Herbert suggests to wish for £200. Mr. White then wished for £200 and shocked when he feel that the paw moved in his hand. But but nothing happened, so they go to sleep. Next morning, Herbert joked with his parents about the monkey paw before go to work. Suddenly, a stranger turned up at the front door. The stranger come to tell them that Herbert has been killed in an accident work. The stranger also said that they will get £200 as compensation, exactly the sum that Mr. White wished for upon the monkey paw. After Herbert's funeral, his parents returned to the family home, which now appears desolate. Then Mrs. White suggests that they should use the monkey paw to wish for Herbert come back alive. Mr. White not agree with that suggestion, but Mrs. White forced him to make the wish. Then she wait by the window, but no one come. In great relief, Mr. White returned to bed, and after a while, his wife joined him. Suddenly, Mr. White get up again to light a candle. He hear a soft knock at the front door. Terrified, he rushed back to the bedroom. However, the knocking grew louder. Mrs. White believed that her son have come back to life and hurries downstairs before her husband could stop her. Mr. White is left with only one course of action: to make a final wish in the monkey's paw. We are not told exactly what it is, but when he makes it, the knocking stops. When Mrs. White opened the door, there is nobody there. So here is the synopsis for the monkey paw. Thank you.
There is 3 themes in this story. First, fate. According to the Sergeant Major, fate is ruled people's life. It is because people cannot change the fate. Who want to change the fate, they will get into trouble. Secondly, is Orientalism and supernatural. As a magical artifact from the India, which is the monkey paw, take on exotic, mystical qualities that draw on the old cliché of the East and inherently supernatural place. Okay, the monkey paw has a supernatural power. People can make 3 wishes at the Monkey Paw. Okay, the third theme is that Herbert was dead because he was caught in a machinery at Eastwood.
Character and characteristic. The main character is Mr. White. The characteristic of Mr. White is someone who cannot accept his own fate. For the example is, whether it is a chess game, he know he is going to lose to his son Herbert White because of a reckless move and his quick life in a remote part of Britain compared to his friend Maurice exciting adventure in India. Second characteristic is a greedy person. When Maurice want to throw the monkey paw into a fire, Mr. White had asked Maurice to not throw it away and give it to her. Give it to him. He actually want to use all the wish on the monkey paw even though he know it was bad. And the last one, the last characteristic is accept reality. The evidence is Miss White has used a second request from Monkey Paw to revive her son Herbert, but Mr. White made the last request because he had learned the truth about the monkey paw and he had received word of his son dead. The second character is Miss White. Okay, the characteristic of Miss White is a loving person. When Mr. White lost a chess game while playing with his son Herbert White, Miss White has given him encouragement to her husband by saying forget the defeat now and expect her husband to win the next game. And other than that, the characteristic is intelligent woman. After Miss White know the death of her son Herbert White caused a trap in the machine, Miss White has been using a request from Monkey Paw to turn his son back on. Okay, the next character is Sergeant Major Morris. The characteristic that I find is a mysterious and diligent person. Sergeant Major Morris enjoy talking about adventure aboard and show the White his Monkey Paw in spite of his professed reservation, a Jack and were very man. He discouraged Mr. White from dreaming of Indian and suggesting that life is better and simple at home in England. And the last character that I find is representative. Okay, the characteristic of the representative is a responsible person. The representative has informed Mr. and Miss White of Herbert death. The nervous representative sympathies with the White and tries to distance himself from more and making failure to take responsibility, guessing that he is following order and not expressing his own feeling. He gives Miss and Mr. White £200 from the company. Okay, that's all. Oh, sorry, I forget for the another character is Herbert White. Okay, the characteristic of Herbert White is thoughtful and loving son. Herbert played chess with his father and gently teased his mother. He's only member of the family who work. And other than that, the characteristic is the diligent. For the example, is in the brightness of the reality sign that morning as it streamed over the breakfast table, Herbert looked at his fear. After the end of chatting, Herbert was prepared to work and his mother locked and following him to the door, watching him down the road and returning to the breakfast table. Okay, thank you.
Alright, so now we move on to plot and setting. We need to remember there are 5 elements in plot, which is exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and also the last resolution. So for the exposition of the story Monkey Paw, the story is set in England around the turn of the 20th century. It opened with the elderly Mr. and Mrs. White and their son Herbert and their cozy family home one stormy evening. So it was a night. It is a night. It is a stormy night. And there are three members of them, Mr. White, Mrs. White, and his son Herbert, staying in England, called Lebanon Villa. So on that night, Mr. White playing a chess with his son Herbert, and Mrs. White needs near the fire. So after his son Herbert wins playing a chess with his father, Mr. White complains about the terrible weather on that night, and he expecting a visitor to come to their house. Not long after that, there are visitor coming to their house, which is Sergeant Major Maurice. So the family welcomes him warmly, and as he relaxes with a drink, the Sergeant Major Maurice came to their house, telling the stories of his exploits abroad in India. So Mr. White expressing his interest in going to India, but Sergeant Major Maurice telling him he will be better staying at home. Right, so now we go to raising action. For the raising action, Mr. White remembers the strange tale of a monkey's paw that Maurice recently told him. So the Sergeant Major Maurice take the paw out of his pocket, and he explained that a fakir, which is a mystic miracle worker, has placed a spell on the paw to prove that people's lives are governed by fate, and that it is dangerous to interfere with fate. So according to the Sergeant Major Maurice, 3 men can wish on the paw 3 times each, and he already had his 3 wishes, as he has another man who used his 3rd wish to ask for death. The Sergeant Major Maurice considered selling the paw because he doesn't want to cause any more trouble than it already has. So he threw the paw into the fire, but Mr. White rescued it. The Sergeant Major Maurice warned Mr. White 3 times to leave the paw alone, but I don't know why he teach Mr. White on how to use the paw, but he teach Mr. White on how to make a wish on the paw. After Maurice decided to leave White's house, Mr. White decided to put the paw to the test. Mr. White says that he has many things to wish, but not sure. But then Mr. White wishes a lot for £200, as his son Herbert suggests him to pay off the money owed for the house. Suddenly, Mr. White cries because the paw moved like a snake on his hand. After Mr. and Mrs. White go to bed, Herbert sits near the fire and sees a realistic monkey's paw in the flames. So he put the fire out, take the monkey's paw, and go to bed. On the next morning, everything looks normal and nothing suspicious. Herbert goes off to work as usual, and nothing happened on that day. But later that day, Mr. White noticed a stranger outside dressed in nice clothes. The stranger approached the gate 3 times before opening and coming up to the door. So Mr. White ushered him in. Mrs. White ushered him in, and that man stated that he is actually a representative of Moore and McGinn, which is Herbert's employer. So Mrs. White asked him whether Herbert is alright, but then the representative says that Herbert is hurt but in no pain. At first, Mrs. White feels relief, but then she realizes that Herbert feels no pain because he is dead. So Mr. White says that Herbert is the only one child he had left. It is embarrassing, but the representative says that he's just following the orders, and the company will not take any responsibility to the Herbert's death, but the company will give £200 to the White's family. After that, Mrs. White fainted. Alright, for the following action, basically it shows that Mr. and Mrs. White bury him in the cemetery 2 miles from their home. One night, Mrs. White gets a bright idea, which is to use the monkey's paw to wish for Herbert back to life. So Mr. White, which is Mrs. White's husband, thinks it is a bad idea. He could barely look at Herbert's mangled body when he went to identify it. But his wife, angry at his husband, finally Mr. White make a wish to bring back Herbert to life. So nothing's happened. So the Whites go back to bed. Soon after, someone or something is knocking on the door. Yeah. So have you seen Pet Cemetery? This cannot be good. Mr. White is sure it's a bird. It just took him a minute to get there from the cemetery. Mr. White is sure it is a bird too, and he doesn't want his son to get in the house, so he made his third wish on the monkey's paw. So the resolution of the story, we are not told exactly what wish is, but he makes it. The knocking stopped immediately. When Mrs. White opened the door, there is nobody there.
The moral value of this story is we must be careful on what we wish for. For example, this happened to Mr. White family. He wished to the monkey paw to give him £200, and he get the £200 with a cruel way, which is Herbert dead at his work, and the place that he's work has disclaimed all the responsibility by give him the £200. The second moral value is we don't think there is an easy way to earn money. For example, Mr. and Mrs. White, who wish at the monkey paw to get a £200 and expect to get rich easily. Okay, the last moral value is we must love our child. As a parent must love the child and take good care of their own child. For example, Mr. and Mrs. White very love to their child, who is Herbert. Mrs. White loved at Herbert very much until she not accept about the death of her son. She wished to the monkey paw to get Herbert alive again.